Welcome to the graduation of class 2015. I want to welcome all, especially the family of our graduates today. I would love to say you that the worst part is over on your part, but it's not. It's just starting in terms of support. As you can imagine, this is a peculiar graduation year, since I'm the one speaking as the director of the school, but really this class belongs to Eric Moss as the director. So it's, you know, all the cliches and we talk about ends and beginnings and all that. In this case, it's a fact. It's not a metaphor. It's not a cliche. It's a pivotal moment in the history of the school. We have already not such a short history anymore. We have a very rich history. We have a powerful history. And we are in the middle of moving into a new phase. Because the school is such an extraordinary shape, we're going to try to change a lot, and we're going to try to break it and rebuild it again and again and again. But it's not because it's this particular year and this particular time. I think we've been doing that every year. So in one way or another, it is the beginning and the end of something, but in a way, it just keeps moving. It just keeps evolving, and it keeps changing. I always like to think, and I like to think, I'm not so sure if always comes true, that architecture is a collective construction. It's built between all of us, and I think in the school it's built among the faculty, the students, the staff, and in many, many ways, you guys represent the aspiration that we have as an institution, or at least most of you. The question I was thinking about my own graduation 17 years ago, that when you choose a school and you choose to be part of a school, in many ways it defines the rest of your life. It defines who you're going to be, who you chose to be. And I always hope that all of you don't become one of those guys in which the time in the school was the best time of your life. That this is hopefully just the beginning of a much interesting life, but in many ways, SCI-Arc help you to develop a sense of what that life will to be. There is a couple of things that we do here in a particular strange way. Graduations here happen at the same time that the new students are coming. So there is a whole group of students leaving the school, and there is a group of students that started last Tuesday. And we do this because, in a way, we want the new students to be embedded what you guys represent and what you guys did, and what are the aspirations that we have as a school. And in a way, we want you guys to raise the bar for the people that come after you. And if everything works according to plan, it will keep getting better and better and better. Once again, I want to thank the family, and I want to thank the students for trusting SCI-Arc and choosing SCI-Arc to develop your education. We don't want to take that ever for granted. I mean, really, we really mean it, because we are committed. This, as I always say, this is a school of fanatics, by fanatics, for fanatics. And that requires a huge compromise on every piece and fiber of whatever is your emotional structure and whatever you consider your own family. So it's always extraordinary to have at least one moment for a couple of hours like today in which we can all get together and celebrate and isolate ourselves a little bit for whatever else life will become. As I said, today is a unique moment in the history of the school. It's a unique graduation. And I think all of you guys that graduate today, when time goes by, you're going to have the honor to say that you were the last graduates of the school when it was run under Eric Moss. And I hope, if I do my work right, that that's not the highlight of the best moment of the school, but we keep going. But sometimes that happens. In any case, you have that, and nobody can take away. So it's maybe a great time for you to get out of the school. It may be not. Time will see. Which I want to use that as a sideway to introduce our commencement speaker today, which is not clear by you, is going to be Eric Owen Moss, which until 2 weeks was our director. It has been, I think, a long season of Moss celebrations in one way or another. So I think we cover, and well-deserved, and I think I'm really running out of words to say about him in terms of what he represented as a director of the school and what he did, not only himself, but all the team that worked with him. He's done an extraordinary job, and I think what all is settled and done, he will go up to the pantheon of the extraordinary deans that we've seen in the last 50 years in the schools of architecture. To try to introduce Eric, as you might imagine, is not an easy task. So probably I'm going to screw it up, but that will work somehow because he will make it up, he will correct it, he will comment on it, and he will have something to say about it. Eric, let me put it this way. When I was writing the director message that goes on the website the first day that you became a director of an institution, you have to think a lot because in a way you want to be sincere, you want to be inspirational, you want to try to convey what the school is. And in my case, it was also a challenge because Eric always has been a very gifted writer and he takes that very seriously. So when I tried to grapple some thoughts, the one that came to mind when the opening statement, I thought in a way can be a good preamble to what I can say about Eric. So what I wrote in that introduction is SCI-Arc is where architects became mad scientists. I think that's quite fitted with Eric. It is where art, science, and industry converge and new futures unfold. And SCI-Arc, we forecast the migration of culture. We stare down complex technology and command them to do our bidding. We are agile and street smart. We others drown in the complex flows of urban life. We thrive and choreographic movement. We are prophets of beauty. I'm not so sure that applies to Eric, but okay. Broadcaster of ideas and teller of stories. We are builders, leaders, and dreamers. In a way, we are alchemists. So I think that defines quite well what Eric is, but to make it simple, I think Eric represents what all we aspire any SCI-Arc graduate to be. Somebody who's passionate about ideas, somebody who never compromises, will never sell out, he will keep fighting to death even when nobody else is fighting him. That he does a lot. But as I said when I introduced him to the lecture, it's not so much about the definition what Eric is as an architect, or has been as a director, or he will be as a teacher when he came back from his sabbatical. It's a much simple thing. I think Eric is, in many ways, SCI-Arc. So on that note, Eric Owen Moss.
Thank you very much. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Sound familiar? Maybe. But you'll never bump into that banality in the corridors of SCI-Arc. I want to welcome you all to the SCI-Arc graduation 2015, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you today. On this day, at this hour, each year, yesterday, today, and tomorrow coalesce. Past, present, and future appear simultaneously. Time's on hold this afternoon. Occasionally, architecture subsumes time, freezes it. And I want to assure you, very few human endeavors share that capacity. Graduation is a quintessential SCI-Arc moment. Some of you may think SCI-Arc is a school of architecture. It is. And some of you may think of SCI-Arc as a venue downtown. And it is. And some of you may even think of SCI-Arc as a bastion of rebellion. And sometimes it is. But there's something else, more elusive, deeper. SCI-Arc isn't limited to place. SCI-Arc isn't defined by time. SCI-Arc is an ideal, and we're idealists. Nominally, of course, our subject is building and buildings. But in the broadest sense, SCI-Arc is a pursuit of freedom and imagination. Pursuit, I said, with no warranty that that pursuit is requited. Remember, no one owns freedom and imagination. It alights for a moment, dissipates, and disappears. Perhaps SCI-Arc is now in the midst of one of those moments. But we don't hang on by holding tight. Only a world of invention and discovery sustains a world of freedom and imagination. That means SCI-Arc at its best is intrinsically at risk. SCI-Arc and risk are synonyms. No risk, no freedom. Sometimes I hear people say that SCI-Arc's naive. And sometimes I hear people say that SCI-Arc's unsophisticated. Could be. But we know naive and unsophisticated as assets, not as liabilities. SCI-Arc is a hypothesis about how to live. Who am I? Asked the little boy. Hey, little boy. Who am I? Asked the little boy. SCI-Arc is not only what you do, SCI-Arc is why you do what you do. We imagine it, we produce it, and special moments like today's won't end with graduation. The so-called history of architecture is a retrospective of invented moments. But at SCI-Arc, we're less concerned with history as a study of what's past, and more concerned with the history you'll make in the future. You guys. Go and make it. You're the next inventors. You've listened to what we've said. You've learned what we can teach. Now it's your job to tell us what we left out. What did we miss? Build what's missing for us if you can. That's your challenge, and we know you're up to it, all at once or little by little, because I guarantee there's always something missing. The world gets different. Architecture gets different. I didn't say it gets better. I didn't say it gets worse. We study what's been done. We learn the hypotheses. We scrutinize the tactics. We analyze the results. But we don't know what rough beast is coming next. There's a profound tension, even anxiety, located between past and future. It's inevitable. At SCI-Arc, we learn to cultivate that anxiety. The past demands allegiance to what it did, won't willingly release its grip. Apprehensive, the future will undo it, and the future will, and you will, sooner or later. You know the tale of the Gordian knot? You know. All the notorious characters who labored for years to develop a theory for unraveling that intricate coagulation of ropes, until Alexander the Great showed up, pulled out his sword, and sliced the knot in half, just like that. Cut the knot, sever the past from the present, and build the future for us. Contemporary psychologists preach the avoidance of tension. SCI-Arc, on the other hand, chases that tension, looks for it, somewhere between where we've been and where we're going. Get comfortable being permanently uncomfortable because the architecture adventure is enduring and you're the next adventurers. That's a lot to ask, I know. Expectations are high. Did you happen to glance at the New York Times today? Who are we? Asked the little girl. There's Trump and Hillary. There's ISIS and mustard gas. There's a storm in the Midwest and Tom Brady in New England and dance moms in Pittsburgh. There's love in the afternoon. There's politics and art and culture and numberless events and experiences on the land, on the sea, in the sky, introverted and extroverted, named and nameless, things and fragments of things, on and on and on. How do we navigate that? How do we navigate that multifaceted, multitudinous conflagration? I'm convinced architecture can narrate that story and discover its meanings. I believe that. Architecture can build a culture, meaning architecture builds and rebuilds meaning. That's our job. Architecture reports on the culture, who we aspire to be, what we love, what we hate. Architecture affirms us. Architecture dissects us. Architecture denigrates us. And architecture sustains the story for those who aren't born yet. Architecture bestrides time. Architecture the way in, architecture the way up, architecture the way out, architecture the way down. Here's the coda for a 2015 SCI-Arc graduate, a text by Thomas Wolfe, an old friend, discovered in the 1930s, written on a subway wall at 59th and Lexington in New York City. Here's how it goes. I cannot yet tell him how to design. I cannot yet attempt to give rules whereby she will be enabled to build. I am becoming an architect, discovering the line, the structure, and the articulation of the language which I must discover if I am to do the work I want to do. It is for just this reason, because I sometimes stumble, because my energy and talent is still involved in the process of discovery, that I am speaking as I speak here. Starting today, this is a story of a contest with focus and sweat, with successes and defeats, and in the end, achievement. I don't know yet how to design and build, but I'm on my way. I have learned something essential at SCI-Arc about myself and about the work of architecture, and I'm committed to continuing that story. Architecture, an eternal river flowing from past to future. Drop in your offering, see if it floats. We think it will. Talk to your peers, talk to your culture, talk to yourself, talk to those who aren't born yet. Write us a chapter. No one writes the whole story. SCI-Arc's the unfinished symphony. Keep the music playing. If it ain't broke, break it. If it ain't broke, fix it. Make it new. That's the SCI-Arc lesson. That's the architect's lesson. Thank you. Congratulations.
Please join me. Let's give another applause to Eric for almost 14 years of directorship. Okay, now this is a more recent tradition, and to be fair, it was kind of demanded to us by the students. They said, we want to speak in our graduation. One will wonder why, after all the speaks I have to do in reviews, but this happens, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. To be fair, it doesn't happen every year. Not every year there are students who want to speak in graduation. But this year we have 2 remarkable B.Arch students that they're gonna do so. And I want to introduce you, both of them, to you. One is Bridgette Marso, who is a B.Arch. She done a lot of service for the school. She's been the student union president from 2011 to 2013, and she's been the student representative to the board of trustees 2013 and 2015. And then we have also Nader Naim, which is also a B.Arch student. And both of them, I think they're going to do something fairly strange with this speech. So please join us here.
All right. Thank you, Hernan. That was a great introduction. It really is an honor to be up here speaking on behalf of the graduate students. I couldn't be more excited. To be honest, I never saw myself as a public speaker. The idea I had of myself before going to SCI-Arc and who I am now are completely different. And that difference and that transition is what I want to talk to you about today. I'm talking about failure. It sounds funny right off the bat. How could I talk about failure when we're literally sitting here celebrating our success? But you know what that feeling is like here at SCI-Arc. You're up there presenting your work, thinking it's all copacetic. You're wearing your nicest vintage boots and shawls and weird glasses that have no prescription on it for some reason. And you get ripped apart. And no matter how great you think your work is, it still happens. You know that vending machine over there, the one vending machine we have in this entire building? The one where we each have a specific Arrowhead water combination code. Mine is E2. It works every time. It's reliable. I always get the water. Each time I visited that machine, I've had to walk down the hall from wherever my desk was at the time. And I always went on that walk with a couple of friends. Some who I thought were my best friends, and others who I only really connected with on those walks. As we'd walk through the halls, I would always scan an impressive variety of work each time, from visual studies pinups to studio pinups that were forgotten on the wall by students who didn't really care about retrieving the rest of their pins, and more importantly, their work. They're left abandoned. We've seen people abandon this whole school itself, but not us. We're all here right now, and today we know what it means to ride something to the end, and we're stronger because of that. As most of our experiences go here, a large number of those projects went through a rigorous process of trial and error, iteration after iteration, failure after failure. It's an exhausting but important process. And what I mean by failure is not a loss of your work's value, but the freedom of an idea, letting it go and allowing it to change further. This process allows you to constantly create something new. What you thought was the best thing about your work is now something you may have to let go of. You'll never know if it was worth it until the end, because at SCI-Arc we don't have grades. Failure isn't measured through numerical value. It's more abstract than that. And everyone here, they know that. That's the point of it. It's up to us to define it. When you get to a point where you do fail, you get to choose to start again or not, and that belongs to you. How you handle that process of what you think is a loss is now freedom, backed not only by curiosity, but knowledge. So through many of your experiences here, your friends and studio instructors knew exactly when you were playing it safe or risking it and going all out with your work. One is accepting the failure, the other is not. I remember showing my work to some of my friends, and I'd hear things like, "Oh, nice," and that's all I'd hear. And it got me thinking, why didn't they have more to say? I'm showing them so much. Or instructors would ask me, why did you choose to put that entire facade there? And I love those questions because you can't answer them. It's just their way of saying, just change this thing, it'll take up a bunch of your time, but that will allow you to let go of what you thought the best thing about your work was. The truth is, it's risky to love the best thing about your work, especially here where rejection is strong, but opinions are so vast, so it's easy to feel like you're stuck or lost. But it's comfortable to follow the interests of the opinions that glorify your work, but it's not fulfilling. I want to break it up even more, because this is where it gets interesting and where you start to see that transition. Excuse me. Picture the act of failing as a dot, right? And you're standing on this dot, and you can't see it because you're on there. You've covered it up, you've blinded it, and it has blinded you to see everything but what it actually is. Once you choose to step off that dot, you'll see it, a pinpoint of a significant time you've failed. And when you fail at something, it's not over. It's not, oh, that's it, it's done, it's gone. It's there for you to cringe at it, so you can look back at it and say, gross, I can't believe I did that, especially in your later years. But as this process goes on, you'll find yourself standing on that same failure. But this time, you'll have the awareness of what is going on, the intuition to recognize when to move or to stay standing. Let that intuition guide you. It will make all the difference on those days when you're not sure if you're headed towards failure or success, whether or not what you are doing is wrong or simply just new. The more of these dots you accumulate and connect, the more aware you become of the process of success. So as I would make those walks to the vending machine, I'd see a lot of the same work again, just revised and getting better and better until no more changes were made, until it's reached a doubtless state, telling me that failure and success are really the same thing. One is just an end to a process. So I guess the vending machine was the most important thing to me at SCI-Arc in a strange way. Without that machine, I'd just be sitting at my desk with not much of an incentive to leave. Did I go to that vending machine for snacks? No, I left during the moments when I thought I was on the brink of failure.
The most important thing that has pushed us through these times of failure was the support and the people of the community that surrounds us here at SCI-Arc. I'm here today to reflect on my time here over the last 5 years, in the hopes that these experiences hold true for many of the other students graduating today. I'll begin with my first semester. It was then that the real meaning of community began to take shape. In our first semester, the entire class came together to build an installation right here in this parking lot. We spent most of our time outside drilling holes, bending wire, trying to create some sort of effect, wondering what any of this had to do with an architectural education. We were all thrown in this together, not quite knowing what to do or what the next step might be, but in those late nights, testing every possibility and learning from each other along the way, we found we were each other's greatest asset. SCI-Arc is a place where this type of relationship thrives. You realize you're only a part of this larger whole that is at its best when all the parts are working together. After a couple of years, this community that we had built expanded into vertical studios, giving each of us an opportunity to explore our own interests. We're able to choose our own instructors and the type of project we wanted to work on. And as we began to branch out and test our own ideas, the importance of community really started to show itself. When I was unsure of myself or feeling unsettled by a review, my classmates were my support group. They reassured me and gave me the confidence and energy to keep pursuing my ideas in difficult times. I would even go so far to say that this sense of community is crucial to creating and sustaining such an experimental institution as SCI-Arc. Having that support network helps me think more creatively because I know that if an idea fails or is flawed, I always have that group to help me work through any of the problems that come up or give me the perseverance to start over. Throughout our years here, we have learned much more than just a conventional technical architecture training. We have learned to be curious, to question everything, to commit to this continuous investigation, and to master the process of our research and its resolution. We have learned how to design. From designing a hybrid brothel and daycare center with Jeff Kipnis, to designing funny buildings in Berlin with Andrew Zago, we have been pushed to challenge and reimagine this world. When designing something as seemingly out of place as a funny building in a city with such a dark and layered history, our instructions were not to focus on making it a ha-ha, this is a funny-looking building, but instead, to think of it more like a funny feeling. As Zago would say, it's like that funny feeling you get when you have a piece of bologna in your shoe. It's this kind of unconventional thinking that makes a SCI-Arc student unique. Over the years and through this process of learning, you start to see the world differently and realize that these funny feelings have changed you. It is now time for us graduates to take those funny feelings and share them with the world. During our last years here, we get to take everything we have learned from these masters of architecture and bring them into our own thesis projects. And while our thesis projects seem to be, and in fact are, the most important, personal, and open-ended projects at SCI-Arc, knowing that we were working through our problems together strengthened each of our projects individually. I regularly look to my fellow classmates for support, ideas, advice, and last-minute inspiration. And I'm very lucky to be here today, surrounded by all of the people who have challenged and inspired me over the last 5 years, and look forward to continuing to grow with you as colleagues. A couple of years ago, Jeff Kipnis mentioned that thesis is not necessarily about succeeding at something, but completing the challenge you have created for yourself. And I quote, "Each and every project has one device, one thought, one technique, or one well-formed ambition that until this work has not even occurred to our discipline as a possibility. That's a fantastic achievement. It may or may not pan out, but as an achievement, it means there are no longer students, they are colleagues as we face the future challenges of architecture." We have reached that moment. We have reached the end of this journey, and we'd like to leave you with one thought. We want you to remember all the times you failed over the years here at SCI-Arc, all those intense moments of struggle. Use them as a reminder of how relentlessly you worked and persevered through to eventually find a solution. It will lead you to success in all your future endeavors. As Eric always says to incoming students, SCI-Arc teaches you all sorts of things within its walls. It's your job to go out and build it. Thank you.
Okay, next in the program, John Enright, who has done a phenomenal job with the B.Arch part of the undergrad program, which all you guys are part of it, and now is moving into the role of Vice Director and Chief Academic Officer. He will have some prizes to give away, so let's welcome him.
Yeah, let's give away some prizes, huh? Okay, later the thesis prizes will be awarded, so these are the academic prizes that I'll be going through, or awards I should say. They're in 3 categories. We have the SCI-Arc Service Awards, the Alpha Rho Chi medals, and the Henry Adams certificates and the Henry Adams medals. And bear with me, I'll give short descriptions of each one. When I call your name, please have the student come up, and then we'll go from there. The first of our awards are the SCI-Arc Service Awards. The SCI-Arc Service Award goes to graduate or undergraduate students who made outstanding contributions in the area of service to the SCI-Arc community as selected by the faculty and staff. So there'll be 2 for undergraduate and 2 for graduate. So the first for undergraduate goes to Maria Jose Herrero. You here? Please come up. The second service award for B.Arch goes to Bridgette Marso. Is she back here, or did she leave? There she is. Okay, in the graduate program, the next SCI-Arc Service Award goes to Shaheen Shan Rasek, MArc 1. And the last SCI-Arc Service Award goes to Rachel McCall. Okay. The next will be one undergraduate and one graduate. This is for the Alpha Rho Chi Medal. In 1931, the Grand Council of Alpha Rho Chi established the Alpha Rho Chi Medal to, quote, encourage professional leadership by rewarding student accomplishment. The fraternity provides the medal to selected schools of architecture throughout the country to be awarded to the graduating senior who has shown an affinity for leadership, performed willing service for the school or department, and gives promise of real professional merit through his or her attitude and personality. So the first Alpha Rho Chi medal goes to Bridgette Marso. You're probably getting tired, Bridgette, I think. The graduate Alpha Rho Chi medal goes to Leonora Bustamante Suama. Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, next are the AIA Henry Adams medals and certificates. So first we'll be giving out the certificates and then the medals. Each year, the American Institute of Architects awards an engraved medal and certificate of merit to the top-ranking graduating student in each architecture program accredited by the National Architectural Accrediting Board. A certificate of merit is awarded to the second-ranking graduating student, and these awards are provided as part of the AIA-AAF scholarship program. So again, I'll be doing the Henry Adams certificates first, and then the medals seconded. The Henry Adams certificate in undergrad goes to Hamila Rastagar Arya. The Henry Adams certificate in the graduate program goes to Rachel McCall. Okay, and finally, the last two, which again, this is the Henry Adams Medal. So this is the top ranking in each program. The undergraduate goes to Daniel Berdichevsky. And the Henry Adams Medal in the graduate program goes to Mei Ji Niao. All right. Now we're going to get to the actually giving out of diplomas. Our undergraduate chair, Tom Wiscombe, will be reading the names of the undergraduate students, and our graduate chair, Elena Manferdini, will be reading the names of all graduate students, and Eric Moss will be handing out each diploma. Okay, so introduce all three of them up, please.
Wait. Hi, welcome, everybody. Okay. What's up? All right, will do.
So what do I do?
You're gonna.
You're gonna read it and then hand it to me?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. All right. Good. Thank you, sir. Okay. So I'm going to read the names of the graduating students in the undergraduate program. Pass it off to Eric. Alejandro Antonio Aguirrechu.
You gotta hand it to me.
You have to give the diploma to Eric, Tom.
Got it. Yes, yes, I will do that.
to me,
Yeah,
or you give it
I
to
give
him
it to you and then you shake. Yeah, yeah. They're very strict here, you know. On the X. Okay.
Over here?
Yeah, it's better.
That's better. Okay.
It's better. I know. No, you're following the protocol.
Okay. Bran Arifin. Anahit Asatrian. Nice job. Nice job. Okay. Oren Atia. Congrats. Congrats. Okay. Yeah. Sire graduation with distinction, Daniel Berdachevsky. Louis Beaufil. Jared Ray Soriano Caranco. Sire graduation with distinction, Albert Chavez. Y. Chen Chen. Very nice. Congrats. James Coey. Choey. I did practice. Congrats. Yeah. Oscar De Leon. Congrats. Good luck. Eliad Dorfman. Andrea Giordano Salazar. Sire graduation with distinction, Shahe Gregorian. Good job. Thank you. Good job. Okay. Oop. Okay. Luisiana Hernandez Ceballos. Okay, that was inside of that one. Luisiana del Coromoto Hernandez. Oh. Okay, so just in case you need a second one. That was better. Maria Jose Herrero. Chia Shan Su. Nope.
Hold on. If it's not, if it's not here, she maybe not here, put it here.
She might not be here. Mina Jun. Thank you, yeah. Joseph Jung Lee. Andre Eduardo Limas. Ife Lee. Congrats. Juliana Lima Cianfaglione. Cianfaglione. Look at her. Ping Ju Liu. Ruth Machoro. Yeah, that's right. Bridgette Marso. Nice talk. Ryan Kendrick McGriff.
I try to be.
Yeah, you don't have to try. Congrats, brother. Pierina Merino. Matthew Michael Momberger. Congrats. Alicia Mariana Morales. Joe Moreno. We got a check. Congrats. Carolina Murcia. You need that. Nader Naim. Uh-oh. Okay. 1 second. Kelvin Ng. Sorry.
Halfway, Tom.
There are 2 of those, again.
You're halfway. Relax.
I did. Nima Nikru. SCI-Arc graduation with distinction. Liana Norapshan. David Park. Kelly Poon. SCI-Arc graduation with distinction. Hemia Restegar Aria. Lucas Rukavina. Pavan Raj Sagu. Yeah, you look great. SCI-Arc graduation with distinction. Layli Salek. David Sarafian. Gina Sio. Mary Carmen Soto Vasquez Solis. Congratulations. C. Sun. Congratulations. Todd Swanson. Evelyn Tring. SCI-Arc graduation with distinction. João de Jesus Velasquez. Congrats. Askin Wijaya. Chun Yu Yao. Thank you. Congratulations. SCI-Arc graduation with distinction. Jacob Anthony Zendrowski. And that's it for the undergraduates. Elena.
I see many familiar faces here. Andrew Jonathan Adjamovic. Aspen Arathorns. Begum Bezan. Scully Beaver Lynch. Daisy Karina Blanco. Garrett Chang. Graduation with distinction, Hao Howard Chen. Shan Hang Chen. Yen Po Chen.
Hey. Thank you, sir. Nice work.
Yu Fan Chen.
Nice job.
Kai Chi Chu.
Hey. Nice job.
Chak Deep.
Nice job, baby. Congratulations.
Jennifer Than Deep.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Thomas Elliot Freeman.
Popular, huh?
Matthew Grossman.
What did you do to earn that, man? Don't tell me.
Meldia Jacobian.
Nice job. Congratulations.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Sierra Ruth Halvey.
You made it, huh? Congrats. Nice job.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Seungmi Hyung.
Nice job. How did thesis come out?
Hae Young Kim.
Nice job, man. You look pretty happy.
Karam Kim.
Nice job, man. Congrats.
Sana Katrina Koivusalo.
Uh-oh. Nice job.
Thomas Leglu. And SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Cayetana Lopez Aguilar.
Nice job.
Ayala Yahel Malka.
Nice job. Congratulations. Super.
Iman Mohed Masuri. Paima Mohed Masuri. The family.
Popular country.
Sarah Rose Mark.
Nice job, lady. Congratulations. Super. Thank you.
Cody Kyle Miner.
Wow. They like you, huh? Yes, huh?
Yuan Mu.
There you go. Congratulations. Nice job.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Mei Ji New.
Nice job. Really super job.
Akashampas.
Nice job, man. Congratulations.
Min Pan.
Hey. Nice job, man. Really super job. Great job.
Yi Shang Peng.
Thank you. Nice job, baby. Thank you.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Sarah Leona Pittenger.
Distinction, huh? Wow. Nice job, ladies.
Casey Cube.
Nice job, ladies. Congratulations.
Stephen Rafferty.
Nice job, man. Congratulations.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Sean Rasek.
Nice job, man.
I'm gonna do this too.
You're good.
Yes. Alison Rust.
Nice job. Congratulations.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Kirill Rajenko. Shall you?
Nice job. Congrats.
Bailey Nicole Sugart.
You think you deserve it?
Rhea Son.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Tu Xiaowen.
Congrats. Nice job.
Danny Wang.
Hey.
Thank you.
You survived it today?
Yeah, thanks.
Aileen Ching Won.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So much.
Breeze Xue.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Yun Yu Sheng. Xiang Chen Chao. And now we're going to the MR2 program. Mayed Al-Gamdi. Hussam Al-Gamdi. Danya Al-Zaib. Garrett Ammerman. Talal Abdulal. Lucas Blonsky. Alex Blue German.
Nice job, man. I love you.
Rebecca Bookbinder.
Nice job. Congratulations.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Leonora Bustamante Sauman.
Distinction, you're getting serious, huh? Good job.
Alex Chan Chu Chen.
Nice job, man. Congratulations.
Andrew Chow.
There you go. Nice job.
Adrian Cortez.
Nice job, man. I think they like you.
Nicholas Earl.
Nice job, man.
Alex Franco.
Popular guy, huh?
Jacob Harsel.
Hey. They like you. Nice job.
Arjuno Zakere. Arjun, you're popular, my God.
Nice job, baby.
Gregory Ingalls.
Congrats, man. Thank you very much. Super job.
Patricia Joseph.
You got an audience out there.
Jill Koningstedt.
Congratulations.
Dylan Kruger.
You made it, huh? Nice job.
Bozen Lee.
What did you do to deserve that?
Yingxin Liu.
Congratulations.
Smita Lukoze.
You made it, huh? Nice job.
Marisa Martorana.
Congratulations. Nice job.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Rachel McCall.
You got so many prizes.
Omer Pekin.
Nice job, man.
This is the second one. Tanver Sami.
Thank you, sir. You deserve all of that.
I'll take another one. Thank you so much.
En Cheng Sheng.
Hey!
Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you so much.
Jamin Shu.
Congratulations. Thank you. Nice job.
Vasilisa Sokolova.
They let you out, huh? Nice job.
Amanda Strandstrong.
Hey, serious lady. You made it.
Xu Quan Sun.
Nice job, man.
Asli Tuzavul.
There you go.
Unimelio Umoh. Natalia Varada. Ke Wang. Shui Wu. Diego Wu Lao. Limbok Xie. Henry Hyang. Shabna Zahel. Bei Yanzeng. Ya Yang Zhen.
Great job. Really.
So now we're going to the ESTM graduation class. Alejandro Acalao Ortiz. Somash Arora. SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Daniela Karina Atencio Vallarades.
Distinction, huh? Nice job.
Ye Bao. Camille Maurici Bosch Rosa. Dai Sen.
Nice job, man. Thank you.
Mary Frank.
I like you out there, huh?
Gianna Gerstipolu.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Risha Kurana.
Nice job, man.
Michael Lee Olaf Kinard.
Wow, I like you, huh?
Carlos Sol Navarro Cubas.
Nice job, man.
And SCI-Arc graduation with distinction per Stefan Svenberg. Jeff Wagner.
Nice job, man.
Ping Ting Wei.
Nice job.
Edward Robert Wynn.
Take it slow, man.
And finally, Shi Jiazhu.
Nice job, man.
And last but not least, Sci-Fi. Gilberto Baroni Jr.
Thanks.
Michaela Cho.
Nice job. Congratulations.
Kalpak Desmur. Rishabh Gandhi.
Nice job, man.
SCI-Arc graduation with distinction, Anna Gras Samarchang.
Wow, everybody's here for you. Nice job.
And finally, Ite Lai.
Nice job. Super.
Okay, so everybody happy? Did we forget anybody? We have a couple of extras down here. So if for some reason you didn't get yours, come to see us at the end of the event. Now we get to the thesis awards. SCI-Arc thesis, both in undergrad and grad, actually, in a discussion yesterday, it became clear one is one of the main missions of thesis in the school, but in relation to the school at large. And in many ways, both theses, and there are some subtle differences and certain different obligations that we require for each of the programs in relation to their thesis, but an overall, as as an ambition, as a desire, what I think thesis is, it represents probably the most pure state of an architecture idea. It's the moment that you have the chance to create almost your own reality in which you want your ideas and your ambitions to flourish. It's a very unique moment in your career, and in many ways it's maybe the last chance that you have full control of every aspect of what your desire, your ambitions, your aspirations, your frustrations as an architect. And this, I think, it needs to be protected. This is something really, really important, and I think it's something that we always will commit to protect, to create that moment, that space in which you have the time to speculate, to dream, to imagine what kind of architect you want to be. So the way I see it, I never see thesis as the end of your education. I always thought this is more of the beginning of what kind of architecture journey you're choosing to be. And of course, this always has different take. Architecture is always a subjective discipline. And as you all know by now, we only like what we do, and we tend to dislike what everybody else does as architects. So through the series of discussions and pin-ups and reviews that happened, in particular in grad for the last 3 days, and in April with undergrad thesis, this is what kind of a battlefield and ideas happen. And it's always fascinating to see the parents and the family there, because they are kind of horrified of the level of intellectual violence that sometimes go ahead. I remember a mother a couple years ago saying, "You guys are so mean." Yes, we are, but it's with love, and it's with care, and it's part of the process to really learn how to fight for what you believe is the right course of action for a project or for maybe the beginning of a project with capital P. The other thing which is fascinating with both theses is undergrad thesis marks the end of the academic year. We finish our academic years with undergrad thesis, and we begin in the academic years with grad thesis. So there is a kind of a, despite my best effort against symmetry, there is a symmetry there that in many ways defy the aspirations or the expectation that we have of the best that the school have to offer. So now, the projects that they get selected for these recognitions and for these awards, it have different meanings and different connotations. A thesis, in many, many ways, is an individual exploration, and it's the moment that each of you move away from the cocoon to be like in a more collective exploration, which is through design studios and seminars and so on, which in many, many ways, you are playing by the rules that somebody else kind of impose of you. So in a way, you are kind of only controlling 20-25% of the destiny of your project, which in thesis, that thing flips. Your advisor becomes more exactly that, an advisor and a figure, if the work is done properly, in the background in which you take the role and your own responsibility within that. So in many ways, there is a long story, which I'm going to make it very short, but I started, let's say, my career in leadership and administration in the school running grad thesis 10 years ago, and it was based because I opposed thesis. I was completely against the idea of thesis. I hate it. And Eric, in his very twisted way of see the world, he says, "Oh, you hate thesis, go and fix it." So 10 years later, I'm a complete believer in the role of thesis have to play in the context of the school, but in the concept of architecture at large. It's really, really important for us that you take that moment to be responsible for your own education, to try to draw some sort of partial, if temporary, conclusion about where you stand towards the work that you want to embark as a professional. So it's with that spirit that these awards recognize some outstanding work in relation to that. But I think, as Bridgette mentioned, to go through the process is already an achievement in itself. Now, even though we are in California, not everybody gets a trophy. So there are work that is better than others. That's how it goes. Such is life, such is love. So first, I'm gonna give away the undergrad thesis. This happens in April, so it's important to remember. And the process of selection in both thesis programs is different. So in the undergrad, in the undergrad program is a group of faculty, mostly involved in thesis, who make this selection. So as I mention your names, please come to the stage to receive your certificate of the award and the honor that you're receiving. So the first SCI-Arc Merit Undergrad Thesis Award goes to Brand Arafin and James Cho. Oh, sorry. I knew I forget about this. Jewelry, baby. The next SCI-Arc Merit Undergrad Thesis Award goes to Daniel Berdichevsky. SCI-Arc Merit Undergrad Thesis Award to Mina June. Hold on. SCI-Arc Merit Undergrad Thesis for Carolina Murcia. SCI-Arc Merit Undergrad Thesis Award for Liana Norasham. Congratulations. Now we're going to move to the SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis, and we'll do the top awards at the end for both programs. So this is for the graduate programs. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis for Andrew Asimovich, MR1. One thing I forgot to mention, the graduate programs thesis selection and merit that goes to a gallery exhibition that opens in Friday. So, and also this year there will be some other pieces of project that we will create in it. So please come back if you didn't have enough pain. Come back on Friday to relieve it a little bit, but in a more relaxed atmosphere. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award for Rebecca Bickenbinder. You were far away. You didn't have expectations?
Need a cigarette. Thank you so much.
You have to like the smokers. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award for Leonora Bustamante Sauma. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award for Adrián Cortés. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award for Jacob Hartzell. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award for Chung-Mi Young. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award for Alison Rust. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award for Encheng Sheng. SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award from Qiang Shao. Now we move to the SCI-Arc Best Undergraduate Thesis Award. And this one comes with a check. It's not going to cover your loans, but it will help, at least for a good party and some decent clothes. So SCI-Arc Best Undergraduate Thesis Award goes for Juliana Lima Castiglione and Pierina Marino. Now, for SCI-Arc graduate thesis, I keep forgetting things to mention, but it's my first time, so give me a break here. The SCI-Arc graduate thesis is selected by a group of visiting critics. It's not selected by the faculty of SCI-Arc. We have this year 93 critics coming, 97. To come and review the work with us and discuss the work with us, and we ask them to vote what are the best projects that they think, and that's how the merit thesis got selected, and this is how the best thesis gets selected. Now, this year, we are initiating a tradition, which is to have, and for this, we have for the first year, a best thesis runner-up. Because we have so many students and there are so many different ways to understand architecture and how they get expressed and how they want to operate that we feel sometimes to reduce it to a singular one sometimes is not fair. So this year is the first time that we will have a SCI-Arc Merit Graduate Thesis Award for the best thesis runner-up, and it will be for Shonkin Rosek. Now, for the last award, which is the SCI-Arc Gary Prize, which is a prize that is awarded to the best graduate thesis thanks to the generosity of Frank and Berta Gary, and that they donate to start an endowment to give a prize money to the best thesis project of every year. And this year, our panel of visiting juries choose the work and the thesis of Rachel McCall. We're almost there. We're almost ready to let you go to the party. But any ceremony is not a ceremony if we don't have thanks and to thank people. And this is when it gets that we know that we're coming close to an end. So First, I want to thank one more time to our graduation speakers, Eric Moss, Bridgette, Marso, and Naim. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a special particular graduation year, so it's kind of a graduation announcements and so on. So I want to thank our new Vice Director and Chief Academic Officer, John Enright. Our new undergraduate programs chair, Tom Wiscombe. Our new graduate programs chair, Elena Manferdini, which also, she did a remarkable job coordinating thesis, and I think she cannot wait until this is over, so she doesn't need to do it again. And I also want to thank Dwayne Euler for an extraordinary job running undergrad thesis. I want to thank Jerry Newman, which is the chairman of the board, who is here representing the board. I hope there are more board members here with us. We want to thank for all the work and support that the board does in helping us every day, and from fundraising to the most simple things that the school needs. And of course, we want to thank really the people who run the school. This graduation really belongs to that group of people, not to us. We are just here because of the fluke of the calendar. Again, this is the class of Eric Moss, Director, Ming Fang, Director Academic Affairs. We keep switching names, sorry, Ming. Our fearless Director Academic Affairs that now is moving on into another leadership position, and she will keep doing extraordinary work for the school. And as I mentioned earlier, the school has a long, short history by now. I inherit the school, and I sit here because all the people who have this job before me, from Ray Capi to Michael Rotondi that is here, to Neil Denari and Eric Moss. So I want always to start to think that SCI is getting to the point in which institutional memory starts to make sense. And I'm not so sure that's that we are maturing. I hope that we never get to that point. But certainly we start to have a history, and this is more than a footnote. It's one of the few schools in which all the directors are alive. So the weight, I feel it for real. They're not just ghosts, they're real people in the flesh and in the blood, which I think all of them in one way or another will support and also keep me honest. I want to thank one more time to Frank and Berta Gary for the support of the school over the years through the SCI-Arc Gary Prize. I want to thank Marcelo Espina and Georgina Alhich from Patterns, who built this pavilion 3 years ago, and incredibly works even in this weather. It does what it's supposed to do. They shouldn't be like a massive accomplishment, but in SCI-Arc, is once in a while it reminds us that we know how to do these things. It's important to remember that. And before I let you go, one last thing is, if we did our job right together, you guys and us, and if you feel that what you did here prepare you for the future, that would mean that you will be proud to be a graduate of SCI-Arc. Now, your job now is to go out and make us proud. And this is a kind of a commitment and an honor agreement that you guys and us we have. So we expect gigantic things from you guys. We don't expect small things. So please go speculate, build the unforeseeable, change the present, astonish the world with the possibilities what you can do. So class of 2015, can you please stand up? Take a bow, why not? One last thing, I want to thank all the people in the staff who work in an amazing manner to keep this going as smooth as possible. So that's it. We'll see you next year. Go and party. Good night.